Hey there everyone, this is Austin Bach, and today we are on the Magic Online Beta client testing out some Hour of Devastation. So as with every set release, since the set got fully spoiled today, the beta client has opened, which means that we get to try out the new cards a little bit in some standard matches. However, there is one wrinkle in our plans this time around. There's some sort of bug or something going on with this beta client where Shadows over Innistrad is not available for whatever reason, so can't play with any Shadows over Innistrad cards, but luckily for us, we are testing out a deck that does not use very many, if any, Shadows cards, which is Grixis Improvise, which is building on the Improvise mechanic from Kaladesh block. So the idea with this deck, if you don't already know, let's increase the size a little bit here. You're playing a bunch of cheap artifacts like Implement of Combustion, Renegade Map, Prophetic Prism, just like cheap cantrip artifacts that you want to just have sitting in play. And then you can power out stuff like Maverick Thopterist, which comes down for as little as 2 mana and gives you some Thopters, and Herald of Anguish, which comes down and just provides you long-term value and dominates the board state as soon as it comes down. And then we've also got Metallic Rebuke, which is just a very cheap counterspell if you're building around it, which we definitely are. And then we're just rounding it out with some more powerful threats, some card draw, and some removal. So as for Hour of Devastation, the main new card we're trying out is Nicol Bolas, God Pharaoh. 7 mana is a lot, and we only have 22 lands, but you also notice we've got 4 Renegade Map, which are like 4 additional mana sources. Implement and Prophetic Prism can cantrip, which means that we're usually going to be hitting all our land drops. And we've also got Tezzeret, which his plus makes Lotus Petals, which means that if we have him in play for 1 or 2 turns, he can ramp out a quick Nicol Bolas and kind of take over the game that way. The other new card we're trying out is a Braid, which I think is one of the better cards from the new set. Just a cheap removal spell that can also hit artifacts, which includes like, Torrential Gearhulks, or I guess Marvel is not a thing anymore, but there's a lot of good artifacts still in Standard, so I think this might end up becoming better than Harness Lightning, or at the very least it's more flexible. 3 damage is a little bit prohibitive when you're looking at cards like Glorybringer and that kind of thing, but I think the flexibility is going to be nice to have. We've also got a singleton Torrential Gearhulk, just because we've got a bunch of quality instants that we can flash back, and then in the sideboard we've got an additional copy, just for when our opponent is trying to slow us down, stop our strategy. It's just a good, efficient win condition in its own right. Then we've just got a smattering of more removal, counterspells. Tezzeret's Touch is also pretty nice. If our opponent's playing like a counter-heavy deck, it basically just makes one of our dorky, do-nothing artifacts into a legitimate threat that they have to deal with. And then, other than that, it looks like pretty much it. Just another Nicol Bolas. We get into like a mid-range Grindfest mirror, something like that. This strategy has done things in Standard in the past, but I don't know, I think it gained some fun new toys, and we're going to take it for a spin today.